Imagine a cold sunset, when blood-red light spills across the desolate fields of Harrisville, Rhode Island. There, amid the lonely earth, stands a dark, ancient house with 14 rooms drowned in shadow. This is the old Arnold estate, a place where time seems frozen, yet whispers from the past still echo. As if to tell a horrifying tale, a curse that can never be erased. The house was built in 1736, when settlers first arrived on this land, carrying hopes of a new life. But they didn't know the land had long been cursed by dark rituals and spirits that could never rest. Across 8 generations, the Arnold family witnessed inexplicable tragedies. Children vanishing into the night fog, unnatural deaths in the nearby pond, and suicides that chilled the soul. But among all those tales, none was more terrifying than the name Bathsheba Sherman, a woman whose mere mention made the people of Harrisville tremble. Bathsheba, who lived in the mid-19th century, was no ordinary woman. Locals whispered she was a witch, someone who sold her soul to darkness for supernatural power. Under the silver moon, they claimed Bathsheba stood in the woods near the house, drawing occult symbols and blood to summon a demonic entity from beyond. But her most horrifying crime happened in 1849, when a baby was found dead in the house, a sewing needle driven deep into its skull. The villagers believed it wasn't murder but a sacrifice, a dark offering to an ancient demon. Bathsheba was later hanged, but before her death, she cursed that anyone who entered the house would never know peace. Since then, residents of the old Arnold estate have felt a presence that did not belong to this world. Farmers spoke of seeing a woman in black, her eyes glowing red like burning coal, gliding through the halls at night. The sound of crying babies echoed from the basement, though no child was ever there. Chilling winds swept through, carrying the stench of rot and whispers too faint to understand. Some said when they stood before the living room mirror, they didn't see their reflection, but Bathsheba's twisted face, grinning wickedly. The most terrifying discovery came in recent years, when a team of workers accidentally found a hidden room in the basement. Inside, they uncovered a tattered leather-bound book, its yellowed pages covered in strange symbols as if written in blood. When one of them touched the book, the pages turned on their own, and a hoarse voice spoke from the void, "You will not escape." The crew fled, but one of them became haunted by nightmares. In them, Bathsheba stood on her own gravestone, laughing as dark shadows crawled out of the ground. Bathsheba's grave, in a cemetery not far from the house, stands as proof of her presence. On it, faint words are carved deep, "The summoner of darkness shall never depart." Locals say that on moonless nights, they see flickering lights at the grave as if a ritual still continues. Once, a curious group of teenagers approached it, only to hear screams from beneath the earth, sending them fleeing in terror. The old Arnold estate is not just a house. It is a gateway, a place where the boundary between the living and the dead grows thin. Spirits trapped, curses unbroken, and a dark entity still lurking within the crumbling walls. When the Perron family moved into the house in 1971, they had no idea they were about to face a nightmare beyond human imagination. But that is a story for another time. For now, look toward the house, where the sunset has faded and darkness takes over. Do you hear it? The whisper, calling your name. Imagine a freezing winter day in 1971, as the Perron family, Roger, Carolyn, and their 5 young daughters, drove through the snow-covered trails of Harrisville, Rhode Island, toward their new home, the old Arnold estate. The ancient house, with its rotting wooden walls and foggy windows, seemed to welcome them with an eerie silence. They hoped for a fresh start, a peaceful life on a vast farm. But they didn't know that the moment they stepped across the threshold, they had entered a nightmare no one could foresee. On the first day, pale sunlight filtered through the grimy window panes, casting dim light on the worn wooden floor. Carolyn, the devoted mother, began cleaning, trying to turn the cold house into a warm home. But within hours, she noticed something was wrong. Strange piles of dark dust appeared on the kitchen floor, right after she had swept it clean. It wasn't ordinary dust, it was dark like ashes and smelled like grave dirt. Carolyn tried to ignore it, but when she turned around, she caught a glimpse of a figure in the mirror in the living room. A woman dressed in black, with a pale face and hollow eyes, grinning crookedly. Carolyn screamed and turned back, but the hallway was empty, only the wind howling through the cracks in the door. That night, the whole family was awakened by the stench of rot, like decomposing flesh, flooding the house at exactly 5:15 a.m. The clock ticked in the darkness but couldn't drown out other sounds. The cries of children rising from the basement, though no child was there. Andrea, the eldest daughter, recounted a terrifying night when she woke up to see a small figure at the foot of her bed. The child, with pure white eyes and no pupils, whispered, "Your mother won't escape." Andrea screamed, but when the lights came on, the figure was gone, leaving only a bright red scratch on her arm as if slashed by sharp nails. In the following days, things only got worse. Objects in the house, dishes, books, the children's toys, vanished, only to reappear in strange places, like the cold fireplace or beneath the staircase. Once, Carolyn felt a sharp pain in her leg, like a needle stabbing deep into her skin. When she checked, she found a small bleeding wound, but no needle could be found anywhere in the house. That night, she dreamed of a woman, Bathsheba Sherman, standing on her chest, choking her with ice-cold hands. Bathsheba's raspy voice echoed in Carolyn's head, "This house is mine. And you will be too." One evening, as the family gathered in the living room, all the doors slammed shut at once, as if hit by an invisible force. Knocking sounds echoed from inside the walls, slow and steady, like the heartbeat of something unearthly. Roger, the skeptical father, tried to check the basement, but his flashlight suddenly went dead. In the darkness, he heard a child's giggle, then felt a cold hand touch his shoulder, sending him running upstairs in panic. The Perron family began to realize they weren't just living with ghosts. Something more powerful, more evil was stalking them. One night, when a paranormal team came to record EVP, they captured a growling voice, inhuman and chilling, "Leave or belong to me." Their camera flickered, as if something invisible had interfered with it. One investigator felt icy breath on the back of his neck, though no one stood behind him. Terrified, Carolyn sought help from spiritualists and psychics. But all of them walked away, shaking their heads, saying the house held something they dared not face. At last, the family heard the names Ed and Lorraine Warren, famous paranormal investigators. When Lorraine stepped into the house, she froze at the doorway, her face pale. In a trembling voice, she whispered, "There is an evil presence here, and it's waiting." The Perron family's nightmare was only beginning. The old Arnold estate wasn't just haunted by spirits. An ancient demon, summoned through Bathsheba's dark rituals, was lurking, ready to drag the entire family into the abyss. Night fell over the old Arnold estate like a pitch-black curtain, covering every ray of hope. The house, with its rotting wooden walls and foggy windows, seemed to breathe, pulsing with the heartbeat of something not of this world. The Perron family, exhausted after sleepless nights and relentless spiritual attacks, placed their final hope in Ed and Lorraine Warren, famous paranormal investigators who entered the house determined to confront the darkness. But even they couldn't imagine that what awaited them wasn't just lost souls, but an ancient demon, summoned through the dark rituals of Bathsheba Sherman. The exorcism began in the living room, where candlelight flickered weakly, struggling against the overwhelming darkness. Lorraine, with her clairvoyant gift, stood in a circle drawn with salt and crosses, eyes tightly shut. Suddenly she trembled and whispered, "It's here." Bathsheba, no, something stronger, more ancient. The air grew suffocating, as if the room was being drained of oxygen. The candles all went out at once, and a deep growl rumbled from beneath the floor, sending the Perron family into terrified embrace. Ed Warren raised the crucifix and loudly began reciting the exorcism rites. But at that moment, Carolyn Perron, already weakened by prior attacks, began convulsing. Her body lifted from the chair, levitating in midair, eyes rolled back, mouth emitting sounds not of this world, an ancient language like whispers from the underworld. Lorraine screamed, "It's inside her." A chair suddenly flew across the room, smashing into the wall and shattering to pieces. The framed pictures shook violently and fell to the floor, as if the house itself was enraged. In the chaos, the paranormal team scrambled to record evidence with their equipment. But the camera flickered and shut off completely, as though an unseen energy disrupted it. One investigator felt an icy hand grip his neck, though no one stood near him. When he turned on his flashlight, he found deep red claw marks on his arm, as if slashed by an invisible beast. A growling voice echoed through the EVP recorder, "You will all belong to me." In desperation, Lorraine led the group to the basement, where they discovered a hidden door behind the old wooden wall. Inside was a secret room, coated in dust and cobwebs, with occult symbols drawn in dried blood on the floor. In the center stood an antique mirror, its surface murky as if holding another world within. When the flashlight hit it, the mirror reflected not the room, but a pitch-black gate where twisted figures screamed and reached out, trying to pull the group into the abyss. Lorraine, pale-faced, whispered, "This is where Bathsheba performed her ritual, and the demon is still here." Ed, crucifix in hand, tried to seal the room with holy water and prayer, but a freezing wind swept through, carrying Bathsheba's haunting laughter. The symbols on the floor began to glow blood red, and Carolyn, still possessed, screamed, "This house is mine. No one leaves." In a desperate moment, Lorraine grabbed Carolyn's hand and recited an ancient prayer, causing her to collapse to the floor, unconscious. But even after the ritual ended, the air remained heavy, as if the demon had only temporarily withdrawn. The Perron family left the house in 1980, unable to endure the nightmares any longer. But new residents soon reported the same phenomena: knocking inside the walls, claw marks on furniture, and the shadow of a woman in black gliding through the hallway. The secret room was sealed, but investigators believe the portal within the mirror was never truly closed. The old Arnold estate still stands quietly in the fields of Harrisville, a chilling reminder of the darkness that never left. On moonless nights, it's said that whispers echo from the house, like a sinister invitation, "Come and stay forever."